Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
The suspected gunman in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting is due in court tomorrow, and more victims will be buried today. I'm Laura Podesta. I'll have more on that and the president's controversial visit.
And the fight over I-185, the proposed tobacco tax, really part of a wider debate over Medicaid assistance in Montana. Coming up, learn what's at the core of that debate.
Good morning to you and happy Halloween. We're going to have some more Halloween fun here in just a moment. It is 6:29 here on this Wednesday. Our top story for you now. The Pittsburgh community of Squirrel Hill will continue to lay to rest the 11 people killed in a synagogue last week.
Yesterday, after 4 funerals, President Trump came to the neighborhood to pay tribute despite some protests. CBS's Laura Podesta has more this morning from New York.
Funerals continue today for those killed in Saturday's mass shooting at a Pittsburgh synagogue. Joyce Feinberg, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger will be laid to rest.
The entire community feels like they have lost their mothers, fathers, and sons and daughters.
Yesterday, 4 of the 11 victims were remembered, including Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz. Ben and Arlene Shabe were his patients.
Every wonderful word that's been spoken about Dr. Rabinowitz is absolutely true.
I don't know if we'll ever find a doctor like that again.
Funerals were also held for Daniel Stein and brothers Cecil and David Rosenthal.
There's a lot of people here who have no connection with the Rosenthal family. And it's a sad day for Pittsburgh, but it's a great day for Pittsburgh, too.
Shortly after the funerals, President Trump and the First Lady came to the Squirrel Hill neighborhood. They placed visitation stones and flowers from the White House grounds on each Star of David outside the Tree of Life Synagogue.
This land is my land.
Not far away, hundreds lined the streets to protest the president's visit.
President Trump, you are not welcome in Pittsburgh until you fully renounce white nationalism.
The president also visited a first responder at the hospital. And last night, injured officers Anthony Burke and Mike Smidja joined the Pittsburgh Penguins in a ceremonial puck drop. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Prosecutors say the suspected gunman, Robert Bowers, was a rabid anti-Semite whose hatred drove him to kill. He is charged with 29 federal felony counts, including hate crimes, and could face the death penalty if convicted.
Such a tough story there.
Absolutely.
Switching gears to Halloween later on this afternoon, we've been kind of anxiously watching this forecast to see if it's going to hold
the
up.
Transformation we made.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think trick-or-treaters, you may just want to dress in layers a little bit.
Southwest Montana.
Pretty typical. I don't think the moisture is going to be particularly heavy, but we'll probably see a few showers out there, and that may dampen a little of the Halloween. No, it won't. They're still going to hit my house, I'm sure. Temperatures will probably start to cool down as you head around 5, 6 o'clock. And again, a few light showers trying to work their way into the area. We'll talk more about your Halloween forecast, of course, and much more coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:32 now. A follow-up to a story we brought to you on Monday, a suspicious package at MTN's billing station, KTVQ. That package did not contain any dangerous items. It belonged to a man who lives in the area. Now, yesterday, the unnamed man was confronted by police after showing up at the station again. The 40-year-old was cooperative with police and was taken in for mental health evaluation. He says he is a Star Wars fan, and the devices in the plastic box were his homemade lightsabers. He left the box at the station because it has security cameras, and he felt those items would be safe there. Billings police say they are not identifying the man because he is not facing criminal charges.
Now, one of the biggest issues on the November ballot is Initiative 185, which would extend Medicaid expansion in Montana and raise tobacco taxes to help pay for it. Opponents say extending the current Medicaid program would squeeze the state budget by millions of dollars. But supporters say Medicaid expansion has a huge positive effect in Montana, both medically and economically. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison has more.
Medicaid expansion, approved in 2015, is now providing government-funded health coverage to nearly 100,000 low-income adults in the state. State money pays for part of the program, but supporters note that 90% is covered by the federal government, money they say has had a huge impact.
It's brought $500 million into the state. It has saved the state in spending, $50 million. It's created 5,000 new jobs. I think it's irrefutable in terms of the bankruptcies that it has reduced. It's been a lifeline to our rural hospitals that so many people in this state rely on.
The program is set to expire next June. I-185 would make Medicaid expansion permanent and raise tobacco taxes to help pay for the state's share of the costs. 2 tobacco firms have spent $17 million to defeat I-185, and hospitals and other healthcare groups have spent nearly $8 million on the campaign to pass it. Medical professionals say Medicaid expansion is improving health and saving money in Montana, such as diagnosing hundreds of cases of diabetes early.
Almost 800 people have been diagnosed and treated for diabetes. Those are people who never would have known they had diabetes until they develop a complication from diabetes. Then they're going to end up in the emergency room, the hospital, and if they don't have insurance, well, then the hospital is going to have to end up eating that cost.
But opponents of I-185 say the program has simply become too big, too wide open, and too expensive for taxpayers. They say defeating I-185 is necessary so the next legislature can trim back Medicaid expansion.
It is not the legislature's intent to simply turn our back on those 100,000 people, but it is our intent to make significant changes to the underlying policies such that we qualify the right people, that there are work requirements, that there are true asset tests.
Supporters say they think the program is doing the job it's meant to do now.
And in the long run, it's a lot better for all of us. Even if you ignore the fact that it's just the right thing to do to make sure that we have as many people with access to health care as possible.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Voters will render their final verdict on 185 in just 6 days.
Now, yesterday was Student Voter Day across the state on several college campuses. With it being 1 week before the election, Forward Montana making sure students understand what's on the ballot and where those polling places are. Group answering any questions students might have and stressing the importance of actually getting out and voting.
Yeah, especially here in Montana, since we are a lower population state, the votes from young people really do make such a huge difference. To vote in Montana, you just need to be living here 30 days before the election.
Now, absentee ballots must be in your local election office by November 6th, not postmarked by the 6th. Also, you can check your voter status online. Status of Montana's My Voter page shows if you're registered to vote and where your polling place is. A link to that page is available on our website.
In other news, U.S. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke now finds himself under investigation by the U.S. Justice Department. Online news site The Hill reports that the top government watchdog that oversees the Interior Department has referred an investigation into Zinke to the Department of Justice for potential prosecution. Both CNN and the Washington Post report the former Montana congressman is under investigation for using his office for personal gain, but for the extent of the inquiry, which is unclear. Now, in response, Zinke says he has not been contacted by the Justice Department and calls this newest development another politically driven investigation that has no merit. The Inspector General currently has 3 open investigations into the Secretary. They include a real estate business deal that Zinke entered into with the chairman of the oil field services company Halliburton, and another on a decision that he made against approving a casino project in Connecticut after heavy lobbying from a casino giant, MGM. Now, at this point, it is unclear which probe has been sent to the Justice Department.
Back to the holiday with trick-or-treating this evening. It's typically a sugar overload night for many kids. Doctors suggest before heading out for some treats, make sure your children are full from dinner so the candy doesn't become dinner. Don't let children eat any unwrapped candy, baked goods, or fruit such as apples. Though the chances are low that something could be hidden in them, it's best to be safe.
Things that have like a rind or like a banana, like that you'd have to peel, so you know that it's mostly intact or should be intact before eating it. Or in reality, you could also hand out non-food items. That would be honestly the safest option for kids.
Now, if all else fails, try using smaller bags for your trick-or-treaters.
And make sure to give all your Reese's peanut butter cups to me and Chet. And
you can keep the Reese's. Take the Almond Joys or the Mounds, please.
Ooh, Almond Joys are a good one.
Just bring those on by.
Is that your favorite Halloween candy?
That is by far my favorite. That and Whoppers.
Whoppers?
Love Whoppers.
Well, I'll give you all my Whoppers.
The dirtiest look from Matt Elwell I've ever seen in all the years we've worked together.
Oh, jeez.
Love Whoppers.
Okay, you can have all the Whoppers, Chet.
Awesome.
Bring your Whoppers to Chet. It is time for a quick break. Here's a little sneak peek at what's coming up next.
A new surgery could help people with bunions. I'm Nikki Batiste with a look at the breakthrough procedure.
With control of the Senate on the line, the GOP sweats Texas. I'm Meg Oliver in San Antonio, where Democrats and Republicans are locked in a fight to the finish.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, we're in Florida ahead of next week's midterms as Democrats take on health care, targeting what they believe is a vulnerable issue for Republicans. And a new study finds popular kids apps are full of manipulative and disruptive ads. What you can do to protect the kids in your house and give them the best content. We'll see you 7 o'clock straight up.